Ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Today we're working on this Echo SRM 225. Now, it ran and ran and ran, and then just one day it wouldn't start. And the original owner decided this was a good time to go electric. So he sold me this one, and I'm pretty sure we'll get away with a carburetor rebuild on this, and she should be good to go. So, all you new people out there, go ahead and subscribe. It's free, and it's what we're working for. So, let's get started. Okay, these Echoes are pretty easy to work with. I'm going to go ahead and pull the air filter off and the air filter cover. Air filter actually looks brand new. So you can see he maintained it well. We won't even need to replace that. We're going to take our T25, our Torx 25, pull the carburetor off real fast. And we're going to grab a 10 millimeter for this. One more, there we go. Now, if you're doing this at home and you don't have an ultrasonic to clean it, or you don't have much patience, the best thing to do is to go ahead and just replace the carburetor on one of these. At this point, all you would do is put the carburetor on and you're done. You're back together and going. So take a look at the gasket on this. This one looks okay, but we've got lots of new gaskets sitting around, so we'll go ahead and replace it. So notice that I just loosened the fuel cap. And the reason I do that is the gas will back up through the line if the fuel cap's tight. So here's our carburetor. Let's go ahead and move it over a little bit and get her apart and see what we've got inside. Okay, these slide carburetors very rarely fail. That's one thing I will give Echo credit for. But he told me when he pressed it, and I saw it, when you press this, it comes up very, very slowly, which tells me the screen's probably clogged in this one. Let's get her apart and see what we got. Okay, now this last screw is always tricky on one of these. Got to sort of hold the throttle just out of the way. There we go. And this will slide straight out, or at least it should. And make sure you have a clean work area when you're doing this. And take lots of pictures right now, because when it goes back together, it won't be nearly as obvious. Okay, it looks like we got everything. Oh, one more screw. Always one more screw. This one's hidden underneath, so it fools me almost every time. There we go. That's that. Now let's pull this off. You see this gasket has a bit of a dome in it, so it's ready to be replaced anyway. So make lots of notes. You notice there's a gasket underneath it, and that gasket goes on the block first, and then this goes on top of that. So let's pull our metering diaphragm off and see what we got. I heard it go crack when it came apart. And again, make a note of what order the gaskets were in and everything. In this case, it goes gasket. On this base plate, it goes gasket and then diaphragm. But you'd put it on this the other way around. You put it on like this before you put it together, because you got this little hook to hold it on. Okay, we're going to run these through and get them all nice and cleaned up, and then we'll check our screens and everything to make sure they're clean. So we're heading for the ultrasonic. Okay, we're going to toss these in the basket. And she's set for 60 degrees, so she'll come up to 60 really fast. And that's 60 Celsius, by the way. So we'll see you in a little while. Well, that was a quick few minutes. I ran it for 20 minutes, and she should be good to go. So let's take her over and check her out and see what we've got. Now for the fun part, getting her all back together. So we're going to start off by putting the gasket on the block. You know, the little square here matches the little square here. So it should be pretty easy. We put our fuel gasket on top of that, making sure everything lines up correctly. And pay attention because it's easy to put these gaskets in reverse order. So be careful that you put them on the exact same way that they came off. You can refer to your old gaskets because they're usually stuck together, and that'll tell you which one's which. Okay, where's the other screw at? I've got that long screw that holds the block on. There we go, nice and snug. Now let's go ahead and throw our, notice we put a new primer bulb in it. Usually when you buy a rebuild kit for one of these carburetors, it'll include a primer bulb. And take your time when you're doing this. And if you took pictures when you were taking it apart, you can refer back to your pictures to get everything just perfect. Making sure the body is clean is utmost importance. Make sure all the little passages are clean on your block, and you should be good. Okay, now we've got, this goes on sort of exactly the opposite of the way you would originally think. We put this on, and we put the gasket on top of it because the gasket goes between the carburetor and the metering diaphragm. Let's get her all back in place. And there we go. We're 2 screws away from the functioning carburetor. Two uncooperative screws away. We're going to put this one on, just enough to hold everything in place so we can do the other one. See, everything's still wiggly. Okay, looks good, looks good. Okay, and that's it. Let's get her on the machine and see what we've got. Okay, let's get her back in place. So we'll lay the throttle cable in first, and just loosely put that in. Well, not so loosely, but there we go. Now we'll do the fuel lines. Let's put our gasket back on. And I kind of changed my mind. I decided to use the old gasket again. That was a judgment call as I was working. Because the old gasket does look good. Our fuel line hopped off. That's okay. And there you have it. We'll grab our T25 and tighten her down a little. Give her an extra nudge for good luck. Now let's tend to the throttle cable. Tighten her back down. She should be good to go. So let's tighten the cap up, take her out, and give her a run. Okay, I cheated a little bit on this one. I went ahead and choked it on the way over and pulled it a couple of times while I was walking. So she should start first pull now. Okay, choke's off, motor's on. That's what I like to hear in a weed eater. That one's ready for real work. She does sound like she's running the tiniest little bit rich, but I don't mind them running a little bit rich as long as they're starting well and doing their job. That one is definitely ready for showtime. So just for good housekeeping, we're going to go ahead and put a new spark plug in it. But other than that, she's ready to run. The tools we used for this one were a Torx 25 and a Phillips screwdriver. We also used the ultrasonic, but you could soak it overnight in carb cleaner and get the same result. So we replaced the fuel gasket and the metering diaphragm. And that's the parts that always fail on these. So we went ahead and replaced both of them, which is always a good idea. And we replaced the primer bulb. And you can see the results. It works like a charm. So all you new people out there, go ahead and subscribe. If you made it this far, you might as well. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.